All right, I see the recording is up and it is now 7 o'clock on September 23rd. So I'll call this Planning Commission meeting to order. Karen, can you please take a roll call vote?
Yeah. Commissioner Young,
Here.
Commissioner Batty,
Here.
Commissioner Miller, Commissioner Keen,
Here.
yeah. Sorry about that. Commissioner Brink,
Here.
Chair Langness.
Present, and I believe Commissioner Miller was planned to be absent for tonight's meeting. So we will move on to the Pledge of Allegiance, and I ask those that are able to stand in our nation's pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag, the United States of
United
America,
States of America,
and to the republic for which it
for which it
stands, one nation,
nation,
under God,
under God,
indivisible, with
liberty and justice for all.
Next is approval of tonight's agenda. There is an item that was inadvertently missed to add other business between 6 and 7. I would entertain a motion from a commissioner for the agenda.
Move agenda, please, as amended.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, Karen, can you please take a roll call vote on the agenda?
Commissioner Young,
Aye.
Commissioner Batty,
Aye.
Commissioner Keen,
Aye.
Commissioner Brink,
Aye.
Chair Langness.
Aye. Motion carries. Item number 5, approve Planning Commission meeting minutes from our September 9th, 2020 meeting. Commissioners,
So moved.
is there a second? Commissioner Keen, was that a second?
Second.
Thank you. So we have a motion by Commissioner Batty, a second by Commissioner Keen. Is there discussion on the minutes? Seeing none, Karen, can you please take a roll call vote?
Commissioner Young,
Aye.
Commissioner Batty,
Aye.
Commissioner Keen,
Aye.
Commissioner Brink,
Aye.
Chair Langness.
Aye. Motion carries. We're on to item number 6, resolution 09-23-20-01. Adopt written findings on Forest Hills Farm dock variance decision. And that was in reference to the decision made on September 9th. Donovan, did you want to do an explanation on this before we went into discussion and a motion consideration?
Yeah, certainly. Thank you, Chair, members of Planning Commission. I'd like to just provide a clarification that this is basically a restatement of the motion made on September 9th. And what this is, and I also admit that this was something I should have informed the commissioners on that Wednesday night. And this is something that ideally we do on that same night, but unless I prepared one, which I did not have one prepared, as far as a resolution of denial, this is some housekeeping we take care of the following meeting. We've only done this a few times, but basically it's a restatement of what occurred, and you can vote against it or for it, but it doesn't change the fact that it occurred, and basically it's not changing your initial vote. It's just simply documenting what happened. Happy to take any questions on that.
Are there questions from commissioners? There is no. Commissioner Batty?
I talked earlier with Donovan about this, and it's my understanding that we can't amend these. We can't amend this at this point because this is findings of facts, for something that's already happened. I And what I brought up to Donovan, I was just wondering if there was some way to insert into this the fact that the applicant didn't submit a plan of what they proposed to do as part of their application.
But, I mean,
So go ahead.
yeah, I
Don.
mean, they did or they didn't. Right now, I mean, it was heard by the planning commission. A motion was made, and commissioners voted on the motion. And in some ways, that's a sealed deal. It has been appealed. So we'll hear about it again next council meeting on the 28th, next Monday. But essentially, that's, the record is there. And that's even what the appeal is about. This is more of just housekeeping, actually required by state statute to, produce, basically adopt these findings that produce this record.
Donovan, can you correct me if I'm wrong? So this is more of a technicality point, and when it goes to council, if they so chose to deny it, they would then have to put a findings of fact motion following it as well, correct?
I thought about that this evening. I don't have the exact answer to that. It would be a motion to deny or affirm the planning commission decision. And it seemed, my sense of it is that they would have also to produce some findings of fact, but they could simply, it could be a simple statement that they, well, I shouldn't guess. I mean, I don't know what how they're going to vote, but I'll get back to you on that essentially.
Okay. Other questions from commissioners? Commissioner Young?
Donovan, you had said that the city attorney had reviewed the documents that you prepared for that meeting, and that the city attorney had had an additional finding of fact that was not included in those documents. So.
No, look, if I could interrupt. No, what I was saying that the city attorney, I think he pointed out that the intent of the zoning code and comprehensive plan are an important part of when a variance is approved or denied. I generally just look at the practical difficulty and I focus on that, but I think he added contributed a really good point as far as the spirit intent of the zoning code and comprehensive plan must also be taken into consideration when approving or denying a variance.
Okay. Thank you.
Other questions? Discussion on the item, a motion of consideration?
Do you have a
Commissioner
motion?
Keen? We do not yet.
Well, I know we can't change anything that happened 2 weeks ago, but I know that when I had been there and talked to them, they had various plans. And like Dennis said earlier, they didn't come up with like 2 or 3 plans, like we can do this, we can do that. But they were willing to work with the city, work with us, and they would try this or work with the neighbors. And so that was one of the reasons why I kind of held off on it until they came up with a final solution. But at the meeting, there was some of that was not there. So I just wanted to point that out, that they were willing. And in the past 2 weeks, they've talked to the neighbors, they've come up with a new plan and whatever. That's it.
I'll call on you in a second, Commissioner Young, but I want to note that the conversation tonight, we want to stay careful to re-litigate or re-converse about last week's decision. We can talk about, is this the reasons why the denial occurred? And that's really the question before us tonight. Commissioner Young?
Mr. Chair, I move approval of the findings of fact as presented in our agenda.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there discussion on the motion? My only comment, and it's primarily just for the record, is that I was not on the prevailing side. However, when reading the document, I believe that this covers the city from a statutory standpoint. And so I will be in support of tonight's motion. Is there any other discussion? Seeing none, Karen, can you please take a roll call vote?
Commissioner Young,
Aye.
Commissioner Batty,
Aye.
Commissioner Keen,
No,
Commissioner Brink,
Aye.
Chair Langness.
Aye, motion carries. One minor detail here, I'm not sure if it's Karen or Donovan. I do noted that my name needs a signature on there. If one of you can let me know when I can stop by City Hall, I'll happily swing by and throw my John Hancock on there for you.
Thank you. I'll follow up with you.
Thank you. And then we are on to item number 7, other business. Should we start with Councillor Gerard?
Good evening. I don't have a lot for you. I can tell you at the last council meeting, not the planning or not the workshop, but the WIM4, both the CUP for the mini storage and the lot split was approved by the city council. So I think you guys are batting close to 100. And again, I just want to say that they appreciate all the work. I know they lean heavily on this commission to make good decisions for the city. It's not a number of their specialty, and they will readily admit that. And that's why they like this commission and what they're doing. So with that, I'd be happy to take any questions.
Questions? Donovan?
Yeah, isn't batting 100 getting 1 out of 10 hits?
Well, you are correct. Yes, you're batting closer to 1,000.
Okay. Just clarifying.
Anything else I can answer tonight?
Thank you, Councilmember Gerard. Donovan, anything else on other business?
I just want to state that we do have an agenda for the October 14th meeting, and I thank you all for convening this evening. It's more of a housekeeping matter, and I worked on getting another agenda item related to the comprehensive rezoning. Didn't get that in time, and didn't feel comfortable with what I was producing, and need to put more time into it. So it's not intentional that I just put convene the request that the Planning Commission come together for one agenda item. But we're still having, more good land use applications coming forward. And so it looks like we might see some activity through the fall. And happy to take any questions from you all.
Donovan, it's okay. We don't have to go until 11:45 tonight.
Agreed. Seeing no other hands. Karen, any updates?
I do not have any updates.
All right, we'll move on to commissioners. Commissioner Keen,
nothing.
Commissioner Batty.
Well, I probably going to make a limited amount of comment about this until kind of see what happens with the city council on this last variance issue that we dealt with last week, and then we've dealt with again tonight. I have some concerns that I think what I'm going to do is put them in writing about how we're going to move forward here as far as dealing with variances. I know that we're not walking this razor's edge. There is obviously some width to the path that can be taken in considering and approving and disapproving variances. But I just want to come down solidly on the side of the rule of law here, and I'll admit to probably not being as familiar as I should have been with, some of the aspects of the, this, not what happens in our meetings, but what happens, kind of outside of the meetings with contact with people and what, are there legalities attached to, I understand there's this whole quorum issue, the people, members of the commission gathering and that sort of thing, and you have to be concerned about that sort of thing. But I don't know if having a workshop would be appropriate, or maybe it's just stuff that I just need to do myself here, as far as coming to, I guess, grips with what process should be. I'm an architect. I've always been a process person. If you can't do architecture without following a process, because it's not, we're not producing widgets. We're not doing the same thing every day. You have to go through steps and procedures. And I was uncomfortable. I don't like to deny people, but when I feel like there's grounds for denial, I'm gonna vote my conscience. And but I want to make sure that I understand going forward what, more than just expectations, but if there is a rule of law that comes into play here in contact and talking with people formally, informally, that sort of thing. I want to come to a better understanding on that than I guess what I've had in the past. Maybe it's the way to end that.
Commissioner Batty, if you wish to put that in writing, or you want an agenda item and maybe even have the city attorney join us in that meeting, I'm sure that their office would be happy to provide someone to facilitate that conversation with us. And I think this is just kind of standing. I think if any commissioner wants to have a conversation, let staff know and we can put it on an agenda. That's not a big deal.
Mhm.
And
That
just if
works
I
for
could,
you.
if I could just add that on last Thursday, I did reach out to the city attorney to ask him for some guidance that I can offer to the Plan Commission on exactly those sort of interactions. And so that the Plan Commission can steer clear of any kind of statutory prohibitions, as well as produce the best set of facts that the Planning Commission can then therefore make their decision upon.
And that was very helpful to me. There were a lot of that stuff I already knew, but it was just good to see this written down, item by item, step by step, and what process and what state statutes and that sort of thing come into play here. So for me, it was that was good. But there's just a couple other things that I want to I guess lay to rest personally, if nothing else, moving forward here.
Sounds good. Thank you, Commissioner Batty. I saw your hand go up, Commissioner Young.
Yeah, Donovan, do we still have access to that set of materials done by the League of Cities, Minnesota League of Cities, that talks about the rules and the roles and the procedures for planning commissions?
I think there probably is a League of Minnesota Cities fact sheet on this. I don't have it.
I meant
I
the
have
whole
it.
class. There's a whole course.
Yeah, well, I don't want to overpromise here, but what I did talk about with Pete Michaels is that actually one of their Levander, Gill, and Miller lawyers does provide a couple hour course in exactly these things, how to chart these, navigate these waters. And since we will have at least one new council member, and we generally have the kind of council member orientation in January at the beginning of that new term. I'd recommend that we hold that meeting and have an education for both. It's a refresher for, sitting council members, introduction for the new council members, and I think refresher for others who've been part of this, because I don't feel comfortable enough to repeat the things that, that I know about it. That's why I'd rather have it come from our city attorney, so that there's real clarity with that.
Well,
So I
being
think-
being a relatively cheap individual, the attorney comes at a significant cost. But if I remember right, the League of Minnesota Cities education program is something that the city has as part of its membership. And
Right.
it's an online class that we can take at our own pace, all by ourselves. And it's really, really in depth, and it's been vetted by lots and lots of attorneys.
Sure. Karen, can you look into that one? That's, generally you've been the deputy clerk has been the conduit of education.
I'm currently looking at their website right now, and there is learning in advance. They have online learning courses, but I can dig further into it to find out what exactly you can and can't sign up for. What we have access to as planning commission members or staff or whatever. I'll dig into it and find out. But I am looking at their website right now and online courses that they have. So
Thank you.
we'll find something for you.
All right. Okay, moving on to updates. Commissioner Brink. Commissioner Brink, you're on mute.
Sorry, nothing for me.
All right, thank you. And Commissioner Young, did you have any updates?
No, I don't.
And
it.
I do not either. So the last agenda item is adjournment. Is there a motion?
Motion to adjourn.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second,
Commissioner Keen, seconds. Karen, can you please take a roll call vote?
Commissioner Young,
Aye.
Commissioner Batty,
Aye.
Commissioner Keen,
aye.
Commissioner Brink,
Aye.
Chair Langness.
Aye, motion carries. We are adjourned at 7:22 p.m.
Thank you all.
Have a great night, everyone.
Eric, did you get the
Aye.
record?
I'm not sure if it was tonight or if that
No.
was another one. We were right at this point in another meeting, long time ago.
Yeah, I remember that. I think that was only 17 minutes.
So,
Have a good evening.
Take care.
thanks,
Aye.
thanks, Paul.
All right.